pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, Diane.
Mr. Barber? Here. Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Irwin?
Yes, here.
Mr. McDonald?
Here.
Mr. Douglas is excused tonight. Mike Farrell, our highway superintendent. Bob Winnip, our zoning officer.
Why do you have to leave for a phone call?
Okay. Pam Barber, our confidential secretary to the board. Matt Fabro, our attorney, town attorney. We got everybody. And our guests.
And Diane Miller. Here, town clerk. I need a motion and a second to approve for the public hearing of May 10th.
I'll make the motion.
Greg Bruno. I'll second. Second to the public hearing. Any discussion? All good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I need a motion and a second for the regular town board meeting of May 10th, the same day.
That motion.
Greg made the motion. I'll second. Now, second. Any discussion on that one?
That's all good.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, good. Okay. Number 5, public comment, public community input. Community input, anyone want to sign up, anyone want to speak in community input? Okay, move on. Number 6, discussion resolution, purchase of a CATS 3007.5 mini excavator to be shared between the highway department and the water sewer departments. Any discussion on that, but I do need a motion second for resolution for discussion or resolution.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Now made a motion, Rick seconded the motion. Any discussion before the resolution?
Mike, want to give us a background? I mean,
Yeah, we priced out the mobile CR88, I believe it was, which is 104,000 change. We did get the price back from Northtrack for the John Deere. They were 117 something. I talked to the guy today, he said, wasn't surprised. John Deere has kind of gone through the rough. They're limited what they let them, get the price down to, so you're going to send the feedback. Volvo was too, but surprisingly the CAT came in the lowest. CAT is a very good machine, so we got one CAT now, so I'm not worried about it. As far as parts, fixed CAT is probably the top of the line for that, so it's not a worry. They came in at, I think it was 90. You got it in front of you, but so we're very happy with that, and that is a source well bid. It's a national contract, so which is like 40% off or something like that.
40,752.
This will be shared between water and sewer and highway. Dr. Courtney, I'm more than happy to do 50%, 70%. We're going to front the money, and then once you were with tonight, we can work out the details of how many years pay the highway back.
I see the information on which, I don't see anything on CAT. I see the John Deere and
This one
Volvo.
here?
Yeah, but I don't see any of the specs on it.
It should be there.
It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom.
It's right on the bottom of that
It's in.
top.
They're all the same weight
Okay,
machine.
there's just a lot more specs than the other.
Yeah. No, I went through it.
Okay, I got it.
you got a pretty good warranty.
They're all 18,000 right in that pound range. So
Okay.
You got a good warranty with it.
yes, they're all basically the same.
Yeah, it's a good price.
So with that being said, any more discussion or any more questions, anything? And now we're going to do the resolution.
A resolution to purchase a Caterpillar 307.5 mini excavator from Milton Cat from the Sourcewell National Bid List. Whereas the town board has received a quote from Milton Cat, which is on the Sourcewell awarded contract national bid list, in its response to its requested pricing for the purchase of a Caterpillar 307.5 with a blade and jig bucket, standard, tilting grading bucket, hydraulic thumb, and switching to hydraulic coupler, okay, for use by the town highway department and water sewer department, and whereas the town board in consultation with the town highway superintendent and water sewer superintendent find that the quote from Milton Cat was the lowest bidder and the one that most closely met the requested specifications. Whereas this pricing from the Sourcewell awarded contract represents a $40,752 savings off the list price. See attached quote, and therefore be it resolved that the bid of Milton Cat for a Caterpillar 307.5 for $98,907 is hereby accepted, and the town supervisor and highway superintendent are hereby authorized to execute any further documentation necessary to facilitate or consume. I can't talk.
Sounds me.
Thank you. Contract purchase for a price not to exceed this amount, and it is further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. How's that?
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
I apologize. Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas is excused. Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
And Mr. McDonald?
Yes. Okay. Done.
There you go.
Okay, number 7, resolution discussion. I need a motion and second to accept the engineering planning grant for Southside Collection Project.
I'll make the motion. Second it.
Rick made the motion. Craig second.
I like these.
Yep. Resolution, Diane.
Seek determination for engineering planning grant Southside collection evaluation to be partially funded through EFC. Whereas the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation has awarded the town of Peru a 2020 engineering planning grant to the New York Clean Water State Revolving Fund Program in the amount of $30,000. And whereas EFC requires the town designated representative to sign all documents related to the project, whereas the town is required to provide a minimum of 20% of total grant amount as a local match to meet the program requirements under the engineering planning grant program. Whereas 6 NYCRR Section 617.5, Title 6 of the New York Code of Rules and Regulations under the State Environmental Quality Review Act provided that certain actions identified in subdivision C of that section are not subject to environmental review under the Environmental Conservation Law, and whereas the proposed project is an engineering study for the purposes of identifying preliminary design criteria for improvements at the town's Southside Collection Project. Now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute documents with the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation and any or all other contracts, documents, and instruments necessary to bring about the project and to fulfill the town of Peru's obligations under an engineering planning agreement. And therefore be it further resolved that the town of Peru authorizes and appropriates a minimum 20% local match of $6,000 as required by the engineering planning grant program for the Southside Collection Evaluation Project. The town supervisor may increase this local match through the use of in-kind services without further approval from the town board, and therefore be it further resolved that the town of Peru hereby determines that the proposed engineering planning grant project is a type 2 action in accordance with 6 NYCRR Section 617.5C, parentheses 24, which constitutes the engineering studies, surveys, subsurface investigation, and soil studies that do not permit the agency to undertake, fund, or approve in type 1 or unlisted action and not subject to review under 6 NYCRR Part 617. Resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Roll.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas is excused. Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
And Mr. McDonald?
Yes. Okay.
Try to read them before.
We get 2 more right back to that.
That's a long one.
I know. 4 resolutions right back to that. Okay. Number 8. Oh, this is it. Oh, I see that one. Okay, so I need a motion and a second for number 8, call off officer, secretary, temporary hire.
I'll make that motion.
Now, with the motion,
I'll second it.
second by Craig. It's set, it looks like 9, but it's 8. Okay, so Diane, resolution.
A resolution authorizing the
You see it?
temporary hiring of Christine Crawford as a part-time secretary to the Codes and Zoning Office. Whereas the town board has agreed that a new temporary part-time secretary is necessary for the effective operation of the Peru Codes and Zoning Department, following the recommendation of the town Codes and Zoning Officer Robert Winnup. Be it resolved that Christine Crawford be hired as a temporary part-time secretary for the town of Peru Codes and Zoning Office at an hourly rate of pay to be $16.64 with a start date of May 13, 2021, and be it resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Bruin?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas is excused. Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
And Mr. McDonald?
Yes. Bob, everything is going good?
Yes, yes it is. That's just catching on. And you can't feed too much, but at once because yeah, it's just catching on well.
Good.
15 or 16?
Got a good support system.
Was that
Bob.
15 or 16? 16.
Excuse me?
He's got a good support system because we're
Thank
all
you.
willing to, you know, we're all willing to help.
Thank you.
Hey, Gord, while you were gone, you got a new piece of equipment.
Yeah, you just paid 80%.
I'd say 80%. Yeah, it's like every day.
Mike decided to pay 80,
Okay, number 9, need a motion and a second for Parks' new part-time seasonal labor hire.
I'll make it.
Written in the motion,
I'll second.
no second. Resolution, Diane.
A resolution authorizing the hiring of Caleb Martineau as a seasonal part-time laborer. Whereas the town board has agreed that a new seasonal labor necessary for the effective operation of the Peru Water Sewer Parks Department, following the recommendation of Town and Water Superintendent Courtney Tatro, and be it resolved that Caleb Martineau be hired as a part-time laborer with the town of Peru at an hourly rate of pay to be $14 with a start date of May 25, 2021, and be it resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas is excused. Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
And Mr. McDonald?
Yes. Number 10, discussion youth committee bylaws.
Commission.
Youth commission bylaws.
The last meeting the youth commission had, they approved the bylaws. I wasn't able to attend, Mel was there. Right now, they approved them.
Yep, been a long discussion. Greg knows one thing we need to look at and address is we, in the bylaws, we're supposed to submit minutes and then okay them before they approve them, which is kind of convoluted a little bit. We're looking for a compromise in there. Maybe they can give us an agenda because Matt wants to know what's going on to do his duty, protect the town. So we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. It is a little convoluted that, we're passing or accepting their minutes before they accept it, simply because of the timing of the meetings. But in the meantime, we still want to know what they've got on their agenda so we can be prepared here, legally and otherwise. That was part of the discussion with Greg. And then terms, we mentioned there was a mix-up. I talked to John, and there was a mix-up as far as the secretary taking notes, and then there was somebody was sick, and it didn't come to the board, and that was because we were off to a good start, and then we just kind of dropped the ball one time. So, we can open this up for discussion.
You can open it for discussion if people are here for this. We can definitely open up for discussion. We'll be respectful regardless of everything, here. So if we need to discuss it more, or we need a workshop on it or something, we can always do that too.
No, I gave them I gave them this resolution, the bylaws before the first of the year to have them rewrite them, do whatever they wanted to them when they didn't make any changes to them. So we're looking for 3 names every January to re-enlist for a 3-year term, and I asked for 3 people re-enlisted this January. I asked them to write a letter to the board so that we can just approve them, and I haven't gotten any acknowledgement on that yet, so.
There was some, I mean, we've all talked about it, there was a discussion there of why all of a sudden, I mean, the bylaws have been in place, nobody's basically paid any attention since the 1980s. But the fact is they are there, we've agreed to them, we've accepted them, and so from now on, we're trying to get caught up. This is no different than it is for the planning department or the zoning department, it's all the same procedure, so it's not targeting any individuals.
So this is,
Speak up.
I mean, throughout the different boards, committees, whatever, same type of thing, where as a town looking through them.
Yes, planning board, zoning board does the same thing, but they've always, you know, they've had them, you know, out where they, you know, obviously, you guys all know, we all know, we just found, you know, from basically, what was the date we said?
1996.
Yeah, exactly, so, but, you know, and the thing is, I'm sure they've talked to you guys about it and stuff like that. If there's something that we need to change or something we want to change, you know, to make it better, to make it fit, we can look at it, and if something that we need to change, we can always ask Matt too, our attorney, just to say, hey, does this make sense to change, or is it a legal, you know, thing to not change, you know?
Right.
So, we can look at it that way.
No, it totally makes sense. I think, obviously, we came to the meeting tonight to kind of, like I say, represent. Obviously, there's, I say, an elephant in the room. Like, there are some issues on the youth commission, I think, with the town council as far as communication. So, I think it's gotten better in the last few years. You know, we're learning, very vested, and we just want to make sure that, you know, my big thing is I came in with a list of youth commission members. I'm not sure you guys know who we have on the committee. And, you know, for the other council members, if I'm allowed, I'd like to basically just go through the committee and what they bring to the table as far as, you know, so we're gonna look more like credentials, you know, like anything else. So, I mean, to start off.
And we do have a list. We have a list of them too.
Yeah, we have a list that Greg Mills sent us, and he also gave us this same speech probably a couple months back.
But we do have a list too, though.
Yeah, and I don't really want to give you a speech.
Absolutely.
No, he told us what everybody brings for credentials and what their background and everything. He gave us this already once before.
Okay, so everyone is aware of what.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you can continue on. It's not a problem.
So, you know, we start off with John Flynn. He's been Youth Commission Director since 1997. Section 10 official, basketball and soccer, Plattsburgh State softball coach, Peru modified and varsity softball coach, Clinton County Mariners baseball coach. Currently no children in the program, but previously he's brought 3 up through. Next would be Greg Mills, born in 2007. Manager at Dick's Sporting Goods. Greg basically has been a big part of the ski club, Facebook editor. I think the beach volleyball initiative, Greg kind of pushed through. Previous volunteer for Peru Youth Sports. And Greg has been, you know, Dick's Sporting Goods has been a major contributor for our town program for years. And, you know, a lot of that is obviously due to Greg being there. He's a very giving person. So next, and it's not in any order or anything, but the next is Emily Sypek. Emily joined in 2019. She's a speech language pathologist at Plattsburgh Rehab and Nursing. Current Youth Commission Vice Chairman, volunteer coach since 2015 for Peru Youth Soccer. And softball as well, right?
No.
No, soccer, it's just soccer.
No, just soccer.
I'm basically bringing 3 kids out through the program right now. Brian Marino, 2011, President Peru Teachers Union, high school educator, Section 7 official, football, basketball, and soccer, Peru varsity baseball coach, former president of Plattsburgh Little League. Brian has, I believe, 2 in the program now and 2 others that have gone through it. Jim Buskey, 2014, New York State Trooper, previous volunteer coach for the Youth Commission, previous kids in it obviously, but none now. I think he was an 8-year coach. Bill Myers, 2013, General Manager, Casella Waste, previous volunteer coach, Peru Youth Sports. He is the chairman of the North Country Chamber of Commerce, Plattsburgh State University College Foundation Board, the Salvation Army Advisory Board member, the Strand Theater Advisory Board member, and Plattsburgh Union Road member. And down to Carrie Beatty. Carrie is an educator at the Cumberland Head Elementary School. Previous Youth Commission Secretary, not sure how long she served on that, but quite a few years. She's on the Peru Youth Commission Sponsorship Committee and Events Committee, trustee for the St. Augustine's Church, and the Beacontown Central School Leadership Committee. Krista, I apologize, Ojeda Blair. Ojeda Blair, okay. 2019, collegiate athlete soccer, volunteer coach since 2015 for Peru Youth Soccer and Softball, and bringing up how many through the program? 3 through the program right now. Myself, Jonathan Whitmarsh, 2019, facility manager, mechanical engineer, CBPH, 2 sport, collegiate athlete, basketball and soccer, Peru modified basketball coach, volunteer coach since 2012 for Peru Youth Baseball, softball and soccer, and currently an active Plattsburgh Little League coach. I have a daughter that will be in the pony program, and then a son that, our son is basically aged out of everything, but both kids came up through the program. And our most current member is Krista Bull, 2020, clinical education manager and registered nurse at CBPH, BLS instructor and educator, active youth commission secretary, and her spouse is also a volunteer coach in bringing children through the program. So I think this just, basically I wanted to bring this and have it on record as basically like, we have a very talented youth committee. So, you know, there's been some things that have happened that, you know, decisions that we have made, you know, based on safety, things like that, have changed, I believe, through the town council. But it's just, we're here. Like, we're vested in this community. Like, you can see the youth sports programs that we provide, how it benefits athletes as they move up through. I mean, with the exception of basketball right now, we're a little shaky on the boys' side. But, you know, the soccer program is flourishing, the baseball program is flourishing, the softball program. And that's, you know, we can attribute that all to the sports programs that, you know, basically John Flynn and Greg Mills have led for a number of years. And, you know, leading into it further, Greg Mills resigns. So, you just want to kind of, you know, why is that? I mean, something's going on, obviously, and I think, you know, as a committee, we need to discuss this as the elephant in the room. I mean, Mr. Barber, you sat as a liaison, right?
And I resigned.
Okay, so.
Don't forget, there's resignations on both sides.
No, I believe me, completely understand. Completely understand. We're just trying to figure out, like, what do we need to do to make, it just seems like maybe I'm wrong, it just seems like the pressure is pushing us out. I mean,
the biggest thing, I'm going to be honest with you, the biggest thing has always been a communication gap. Always been a communication gap, where we can't have a simple conversation between me and you without it going through the whole board, without it going through this whole board. It's always been a communication gap, and it doesn't matter who's on the board here, it's always been a communication gap. You can go to Cortland Florence, you can go to Pete Gillespie, you can go to myself, you can go to Ricky, you can name 20 people. There's always a communication gap.
So how do we fix that?
We just got to be adults. We got to work together.
I think this is the primary reason behind looking at the bylaws and addressing the bylaws. Number one, if we have those 3 people submitting their names, you know, 3 people every year, then we have that introduction factor. We know who we're dealing with. It's no longer animosity and 2 distinct people. I mean, there's, you know, the short time that I've been on the board, there's been mistakes on both sides. We've made mistakes, you guys have made mistakes, and certainly communication is the key to that. So from my perspective, the bylaws are an attempt to address that. And the key part of it is, and Rick tried to bring some information, but I mean, just the complexity of what John does and Rick trying to bring it to the board, there was part of that lost.
Definitely.
So if we could get that by way of what you accept as your minutes and your meetings, whether we do it at agendas or whatever method it comes to this board is accurate, that would be a big step, you know. And ultimately, we end up controlling your funding. So, I mean, anything, and I don't want to phrase it that way in a hostage type environment, but, if you can let us know this is what you're spending, not on the small stuff, but if you got some major project in hand, let the board know. I mean, that would certainly solve some of the issues.
I mean, it is nothing more than any of us. I mean, we wouldn't be up here if we didn't say we want everything to work. I mean, obvious youth is a humongous part of Peru, but it's just a communication. If somebody has something, come and you can call any of us. You don't just have to call the liaison. But the thing is, let's all communicate, better. But that's been an issue. I mean, I was on the youth committee. I've been on this board for 13 years. I was on the youth committee for 9 years and coached 3 different sports every year and raised my 3 kids through the sports. And even back then, 20 years ago, there was always a communication gap between the board then. It's communication is everything.
You guys got to remember, if John's not here or Greg's not here, Greg's usually working on Monday nights, our meeting nights. John's not here. Somebody from your commission has got to be here to let us know what's going on. And I stressed that to John 2 years ago when I got on this board. You've got to have somebody at these meetings to answer these questions, or to tell us what's going on, what you guys are planning on. We're in the dark. If we don't have one of you guys here to tell us, we're in the dark. We don't know.
Well, I kind of disagree with that, and hear me out. We have 2 liaisons on the board.
He is one of them.
No, I get it. So when we have our meetings and you're there, it's no different than,
Let me go one step further. Yes, I was a liaison, and yes, Jim was a liaison. But we are not spokespeople for the Youth Commission. We are liaisons bringing questions back and forth between 2 boards. I am not the spokesperson for the Youth Commission. The spokespeople for the Youth Commission are John, Greg, and Emily. And maybe Carrie. But it's not for us, when we're in this situation right here at a town board, to jump up and tell everybody what's going on. That's your job, not our job. It's not my job. And I tried to tell John, I'm a liaison and I'm here to help you guys communicate back and forth. But it's not for me to be a spokesperson for you guys. And he and I wrestled with that.
No, I'm sorry, I do.
And that's like Mike and Courtney. We have liaisons, and Bob, we have liaisons for each department. The courthouse, we have liaisons, but they come to every meeting and tell us what's going on. Even though the liaisons know, but if there's an issue or something, we try to solve it before, and if not, they do it to us.
So to assist with us moving forward with that better communication, does it have to be, Mr. Barber, you said, John, Flynn, or Greg Mills, or Emily, does it have to be the 3 of them, or could it be one of us?
It could be one of you.
Okay.
Absolutely, any number of them.
Yeah, just so long as somebody's here that is
Able to be that spokesperson?
We
Okay.
would prefer John, because John obviously is hands-on,
Yes.
and obviously he's got conflicts and various nights, but John does get paid by the town,
Yes.
and that's part of his responsibility with that job. So, I mean, less likely we're gonna drop the ball with something. But certainly it's not set in stone. Things come up, we can work with that.
But for 2 years, I would talk to John, and we didn't have any of you guys here. No one. He tried to tell me I'm liaison, it's my responsibility, and I tried to tell him, it's not my responsibility to do all the questions and answers for Youth Commission. I am here to help you guys with this board. That's what I was here for, my opinion. To bring questions and concerns back and forth. It wasn't to be your spokesperson.
Yeah. I mean, there's behind scenes conversations that you guys had to help you decide what you're gonna do in the commission, like the mini mites not having them last year because of the COVID. We didn't catch any of that. All we got is, we're not having mini mites this year, you know? We're not, and that's what he brought back to us. But we didn't hear all the details you guys went in, the concerns you had, we missed all that. You know, of course we wouldn't have had them if we would have known all the information we had.
So
we
why
didn't
couldn't
get it.
that have been, in the case of that decision have been deferred till you had the conversation? I mean, that goes both ways, right?
It's easy to come to a meeting, he wasn't doing anything then, COVID was going on, he wasn't super busy.
But if we
He gets
have
paid-
those,
He gets paid $20,000 a year, he can come to a meeting.
It's comments like that just, you and John have a history, right?
I'm a liaison right now, and I'm putting everything out there to try to help you guys. I gave you these, I told Greg, rewrite them, we'll approve whatever you want to change on them, and I got nothing. And I said, I'll work with you guys, they're old, let's update them, let's work with them. You guys were there, you were on the Zoom, and what did he do? He didn't change anything.
So I just want to speak forward and say it wasn't, yes, John's part of that and he's helping us, but those are our responsibilities as the Youth Commission that we're taking on. And as John mentioned, this is volunteer work for us.
Absolutely.
And it's slow, honestly. I mean, we have young children that we're responsible for every single day. I know that you can all understand that.
Yeah.
It's my apologies on the timing because it is something that I've been working with John on, and I know, like, my purpose here today is to, like John Whitmarsh has said, figure out what we can do to move forward and beyond of what's going on and how can we make it better. So getting someone to this meeting is very important, to be a spokesperson. Are we, Mr. Irwin, you mentioned an agenda? Because we really want to be able to review and approve our minutes before we send them to the town.
Here's my issue with it, or comment on the minutes. I need the information, because a lot of things have happened that I found out about 2 or 3 months later. I can't help the town, I can't let your insurance carrier know what's going on. So if things had happened, like the other night in Beekman Town, there was I think it was a Little League or high school baseball game. The catcher's mask didn't have a throat guard, poor kid get hit in the throat, it was a disaster. Those are the kind of things that, one, I would need to know about soon, so the insurance company can know, and hopefully deal with stuff ahead of time. Another issue was, I think first year I was here, the town got sued by somebody who went skiing at Whiteface on what was advertised or called a town-sanctioned trip. It wasn't. All it was the town was the liaison between Whiteface and this group. The town had nothing to do with it. But we still got sued because there was no waiver in place that the participant had to sign, waiving liability for the town, or really explaining what was going on. It's those kind of things where I need the information. So an agenda is not going to help me. I need to know decisions that were made at meetings and what's being put in place. Whether or not those minutes have been improved yet, I don't know. They're not going to change a ton between a draft of minutes and what's approved. I just need the information as soon as it's been decided or determined, so I can talk to this board and then insurance companies or whoever needs you to make sure that the commission is protected. Because at the end of the day, if there's a massive injury or problem, it's these 5 people that are getting sued as the town board, and the liability sits right here. If the insurance company, you put the volleyball court in. Did anybody from the youth commission let the insurance company know you have a new facility to play on in the town? Because there's changes that potentially have to be made to policies because of that. Those kind of things, the communication needs to be earlier in the game, to me at least, so I know it. So meeting minutes approved or not, it doesn't matter to me. I just want the information and use me as a resource. All the other town committees, I hear from Courtney, Mike, Bob, multiple times a week. I'm very involved with those boards. If you guys have questions or concerns or just want to run something by me, I am very accessible, email, text, whatever it is. I will help out any committee. I should, yeah. Yeah, I do. So I just want the information. However you get it to me, it doesn't matter. Just give me the information so I can help you guys protect yourselves, the town, and the kids.
So this board can accept minutes that they have not approved, there's no issues there.
Right,
You
we're
can
not
sure, and then if
approving
they approve them and there's a change, you just accept them again. You just accept the new version. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've never seen minutes go from draft to approved in any town that I work with and have it change more than like clerical things or minor things. It's never like wholesale, oh my God, I can't believe we approved this type of change.
This is again with the new programs and this bylaws, that any new programs you guys bring to us, so we can bring them to him. It's like the hockey, you guys have a nice hockey clinic, We didn't have any signatures and waivers, you know. We need to have that put in place and know about it. I mean, I love the new hockey, I love the volleyball, and I love everything you guys are doing. You guys have got new programs going, but we gotta make sure we're covered as a board and as a town.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it was kind of, I guess, our understanding or portrayal of it was we needed to have improved minutes to bring to the board, which I think we mean that.
And this was a major sticking point between Greg and I, and, you know, and the other was the presenting of the 3 names. I mean, all it's got to be is a handwritten note. I like, you know, I'm participating in youth sports because my child is involved, or whatever the reason. I mean, 2
It's
hands.
not like we're going to deny somebody who wants to volunteer.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think every other board in the town too has the same type of thing, where after so many years, a current member resigns and then leaves applies. 9 times out of 10, nobody else applies. But it's just a way to potentially attract new blood, which almost never happens. But it keeps this board aware of who's on the board, personalities, what's going on. It's not like it's an application or election process. It's just, it's in the bylaws, so one that should be followed. And 2, it's just hopefully a way to attract new people and make the people that have been doing it for so long not that they always have to be doing it. You know, it gives them kind of an out too if they want to just say, my kids are out of this, I need a breather. I mean, that's really, I think the point of those. And the other board, like the zoning board, had 2 people resign and reapply, or say, here's my letter of intent for the next 2 years if you want to accept it. It's pretty common with volunteer type boards to do it that way.
the other thing is too, dates of meetings, if they change, as soon as they change, we got to know about the dates that change. Because obviously, at any board, when you have a public meeting, it's very important to stick with them dates, not change it like on a Thursday that it's going to change from Monday to Tuesday. If it does, we got to be aware of that because it's got to be publicly known.
It's supposed to be posted for
It's supposed to be
5
posted
days.
5 days. So and
To
that's what
cancel a
happened.
meeting and then have a meeting the next night is actually illegal. You can't do it. You're supposed to, the day that you
What it
have
basically
set the
means is
meeting.
any action taken at a meeting that's not noticed the right way is null and void.
So if you say it was for tonight, what's tonight, 24th?
Yep.
And half the people couldn't show up, or you wouldn't have a quorum. Well, we'll have it tomorrow night. You can't do that.
You can't make decisions.
Well, you can have the meeting, but anything you vote on, you can't vote.
So is that, and just for my understanding, is that a youth commission bylaw or?
That's
No.
It's a New York State,
New York State, any town
public
law.
law.
Yeah, public open meeting law, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there a common email for the town board, or who's the best person to contact, or does it need to go to everyone?
Pam would be probably the best one because she would get it right out to us immediately. I mean,
Yeah, usually things go through me and then I
Okay,
forward it on,
okay.
quickest and
but
easiest.
like you said though, but like Rick was saying though, for example, you guys all of a sudden, and everyone's busy, believe me, we're all doing a million things like everyone else is doing. All of a sudden, I mean, it doesn't happen here because we know town board meetings are so important with everything with bills and everything and timing. But the thing is, say all of a sudden we didn't have 3 of us tonight for some unknown reason, and it could happen. I mean, it hasn't happened, but say if it did happen, we couldn't just say, like Rick's saying, well, we're gonna have it tomorrow night or Wednesday night because it would be illegal because then we couldn't pay the bills, we couldn't do anything. And that is basically with any department in any town. You know, even the youth, you guys decide tomorrow night that you guys don't have enough, you know, I'm not saying you have it tomorrow night, but say you didn't have enough and you did it the next night, but then you decided you wanted to buy this, 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 and this, it'd be null and void in all reality. If, you know, someone wanted to challenge it, not saying someone's going to challenge it, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Especially when dates are changed in, if anyone ever looked back or if it was ever audited or anything ever was looked at, we would be in trouble.
And as Brady brings that up, the minutes that were sent, there was dates changed that you approved the minutes for the next meeting, so you're gonna have to rescind that to go back to do it. As crazy as it sounds, because they're not legal. And if somebody comes in my office and looks at them, which I'm responsible for, then I'm hung. So they've gotta get rescinded and then just reapprove them. Make a motion.
Say you were making a big decision on something that was gonna go on down at Lappin's Mills Park. And say you had participation from the public and there was going to be people that were going to attend that meeting. Something happened where you guys weren't going to have a quorum, so you canceled the meeting and we're going to have it the next night. You can't do that.
So
because the public has a right to be there. So that's why they have to be posted for 5 days.
So we could cancel, but to reschedule it would have to be at least 5 days.
Correct.
5 days
Correct.
out.
Okay,
Correct.
understood, thank you. And I do apologize.
And you can
about-
still have the
Well,
meeting.
no,
You can still have the meeting the next night. It just, you should make decisions on any kind of spending. You can have discussions and all that, but you shouldn't make decisions of anything spent, right?
It's a public meeting.
That's a public
They
meeting.
shouldn't be meeting without the public invited.
Yeah, I mean, I would always err towards, if you have to cancel a meeting, it should be 5 days before
Because
the
any
next one.
meetings that aren't public, that.
Exactly.
And the bigger part is too, assuming you have a meeting that's not noticed or not public, right, a decision's made to hold an event and then somebody gets hurt at that event, and then there's a lawsuit. Does the insurance company or somebody disclaim coverage because that, you never had the authority to actually make that decision, therefore you weren't acting on the town of Peru, you were acting on your own personal behalf, and then you're all potentially liability for that. It's a crazy scenario, but that's what I'm supposed to do is figure out those, and make sure everybody's protected from those. But it gets, you know, that's why those laws are there. It's kind of nuts. But I mean, you guys do a thankless, very tough, very hard job. I've been a youth coach for years for my kids. It's fun, but it's also time consuming. And the thought of coming to one more meeting just sucks the life out of you. I totally get that. And so that's why if you get talk to me, email me, whatever questions, it'll help. I promise.
And I think you guys, we've had a tough couple of weeks, but, you know, don't get discouraged. I think everybody in this room realizes this youth commission is a pride of the county, and nobody's missing that fact. And I, send that out to Greg, and it's sad that we came to that. But.
Any other questions?
Just on the other note, they sent the coaches things to you to look at.
Yeah, I got comments back. Did I get comments back to you? There's only 2 things I had minor comments on.
But did you hear anything back on the comments?
No.
Yeah, no, me either. Did you guys get any of
I
that?
remember who emailed it to me originally.
I forwarded it to you.
Then you sent my response to somebody?
I don't know.
So we have to receive that information, so I'll definitely be in contact with John to find out where we're at.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you're gonna be a
Yeah,
little
there was-
disorganized till we get, a new chairman to do, and somebody's willing to do that work.
So we'll need your email? Are we gonna forward, you're gonna be the chairman, temporary chairman?
No, I don't want to. I would not.
Why not? It sounds like such a fun game.
You're a great spokesperson.
Lights look.
Let's see if I can find that email.
I'm gonna go to the back.
And she's had her shots.
At some point, we'll have to get a new person on your board and submit a name to you. I'm not sure what the procedure is, but fill Greg's position as best we can.
Anything else?
Don't feel that you have to stick around for the rest of the board meeting.
Anything else for anything?
Yeah, Coach's handbook, code of conduct, and recreational assistant employment. Greg sent a couple of forms, and Matt
Yeah,
made some changes to them.
The changes I sent back to Craig and Pam on May 13th. So if you can't find those tomorrow, then I'll send it back to you.
Yeah,
I don't know any other Pam.
yeah, I sent to you. Yeah.
When?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have passed out any of them forms?
They've had coaches meetings every Monday for baseball and softball. So,
The coaches,
Yes, they did.
the code of conducts and the
yes,
employment?
yes, yes, because my husband's coaching and he has brought those home. Yes.
He did, because we've made some changes to them.
Okay. Okay.
On Brian and the coach.
Well, he's retired now, so what else is that, you know?
They're gonna recruit for soccer.
So we'll get them to John, the changes to John, as soon as Pam takes a look at it tomorrow. And
Okay.
have them forwarded to him. Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, anything else on youth committee bylaws?
I'll let you guys draft a letter, basically, to town. Just have records wherever you, I don't want to like push the any faster, so
Usually we don't read a letter of resignation at the, is the resignation?
That's not it. That's,
Okay.
It's just kind of,
In
so
response.
we jumped around, kind of, we touched all the points, but that's kind of, you know, a documented,
We'll get copies to everybody and read it.
discussed.
Do this an in-depth reading and look at it.
We gotta make copies, like you said. We have. Okay, thank you.
Some of our questions, I think, were answered with like the
Yeah.
minutes, and so
Yep.
it's very helpful to be able to discuss that tonight, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else?
No, I appreciate you guys letting us have the discussion. I mean, it's good discussion. Obviously, we're here because we want to be here. I'd like to say I'm forced to be here, but I haven't re-signed up yet, but, you know, we've got a great group, and that was the kind of the big thing to, you know, everybody to kind of recognize that, I guess, and, you know, the vested interest in the community and the kids is huge, so, we try to do the best we can and make the best decisions we can for the town, so.
Put the past behind us and do away with any personal animosities that go on and move forward.
If you want to give me a heads up on your next, whenever your meetings are scheduled, if you think it would help me to be at one just to kind of guide you through process stuff, well, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Obviously, if my schedule, but just let me know.
Thank you.
He's doing it free too.
Okay.
You did volunteer, I
It
didn't
feels that way sometimes.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving on to number 11. Discussion resolution acceptance of the youth committee chairman Greg Mills' resignation that was sent in for last week. I need a motion in a second to accept that resignation.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion in a second, but we can have discussion.
I don't know how this works, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I guess my question is, again, we as the youth commission haven't accepted Greg's resignation yet, so I don't know if that,
John and I talked about, we brought it up, ran it by Matt and Association of Towns, and there's nothing, as long as there's nothing in youth commission bylaws stating otherwise, we will do the acceptance of Greg's resignation.
Okay.
That's the procedure that will be followed.
Okay.
And we also, because that was brought up, we also looked in Bob's for zoning and planning board members too that resign. And it's the same way we accept it. When people get on the board, you guys recommend it just like they recommend to us, put them on the board. But resignations, we would accept. All right, we looked into it because it was brought up. So I got a motion from Mel, I got a second from Greg to accept the resignation. Greg Mills, any more discussion or resolution?
A resolution accepting the resignation of Greg Mills from the Town of Peru Youth Commission Chairman effective May 31st, 2021. Whereas Greg Mills has recommended the town board accepts his resignation up to May 13, 2021, and effective May 31, 2021. And therefore be it resolved, the Peru Town Board agrees with the recommendation to accept the resignation of Greg Mills and thanks him for his past service to the town of Peru. His resignation will be effective May 31st, 2021. And be it resolved that this resolution will take effect immediately. Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas is excused. Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
And Mr. McDonald?
Yes, and we will get Greg, obviously, a letter out, just like we have with people that, you know, resign or get done on boards for whatever reasons. You know, thank him for all the years, obviously, the ski program and all that he's done, obviously, has helped out the better, the whole youth program and over the years and everything. Okay, so moving on, being said, number 12. I don't know much on this because we did just have a workshop, so. Courtney, number 12, sewer project update, anything other than?
First reminder, this Wednesday will be our, I think, 4th construction meeting at 10 o'clock. Things are going a little slower. They're working on putting some sidewalks in the north end. No other heavy construction, the road's open. Elm Street, the road was closed last week for us looking around, trying to locate water mains a little better. that's back open. The directional driller was here last week and is here this week, working on getting lines directional drilled. The concrete structure for behind the community church is now constructed. So they are working on excavation, so they can get the crane in and get that set. Don't think that'll probably be till next week, whenever they can schedule a crane. Megan Lane, there's not much going on down there this week, but past weeks they did install a wet well, a valve vault, and one manhole on that lot, and brought the grade up some. That's pretty much where we're at.
Were they bringing grade up with any of our materials they take out?
Yeah, any of the good material that's been taken out has been reused.
Awesome.
So,
Are you?
either they reused it, they have to use select fill when they're reusing,
Yeah.
when they go so high, but then they're reusing the sand, top it off, and they're also going into other sites to help bring.
Are you satisfied with the sidewalk, whether it's done?
Yeah,
Is it something we can get by to get less than small?
There was a question from one residents, because instead of pitching it toward the road, we're pitching it a little bit, pitching off the road. That's how the existing sidewalk was. It was said put back in time. But we also talked about there's no storm drain on that road. So when the road's with the crown and pitch toward it, pitch the sidewalk back, you're afraid the water will sit.
Yeah.
So it's only like 1%. Really, it's not.
We're still an inch and a half high, like it's gonna break out of the grade.
Yeah.
We're edging up there.
October.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, one or two other business, according to your all set. Okay. Rick.
I'm good.
Diane.
Two things. Tax season is officially closed out. I got the final buyout from the treasurer's office, or the final numbers, and so a check got written to the town for $7,600 and change today. Checkbook balanced out, and it's going to sleep until January 1. And it went well, and et cetera. And then I filed the local law the 11th of May, I sent the paperwork to Albany the 11th of May, and it was filed in Albany the 18th of May, and I got the nice little letter that I can put in my local law book, so in my index. So I'm done, over, onward and upward. So that's where we're at. Yeah, I mailed it out on Tuesday, they got it on Thursday, they did it on Monday, sent it out on Thursday, I got it on Saturday.
Everything else will move that fast. That's
So,
nice.
yeah, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
Government.
But anyway, so
Paperwork.
it's done. So
Good.
anyways, two things off the list.
Thank you. I only have one, and it's to schedule a workshop before June 28th, regular board meeting, June 28th, workshop for sewer. They asked us tonight to schedule another one when they are here with their other workshop. So I need a motion and a second to schedule a sewer workshop June 28th at 5 p.m.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Rick made the motion, Craig second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So Rick and Craig. Okay. No.
Had something, but it's gone.
Actually, I go to Matt.
I never had anything.
You're right.
If you think about it, no, we come back here. Craig.
That's how I am. I'm good, thank you.
Bob.
All set, thanks, folks.
Mike.
Top folder sent up Thursday, that's the electronics on the paper that wasn't working on one side. We spent 3 or 4 hours trying to figure it out, and normally the sensors that are on the back is basically a laser in each side. Usually they're marked left and right because they're programmed a little different. Neither were marked, and we couldn't figure out, so I ended up calling Buckle. Fortunately, still had his number in my phone, and he was paving for me from the folder for years. They only normally ran one sensor, and after seeing it set up, that thing is spread out on the passenger side, if you will. When that's set up, that laser would be out where the mailboxes are. So unless you're doing it huge parking lot or the Northway or something that's wide, we'll probably never have the laser set up on the fastener side, which is good because that gives us an extra sensor that if the one goes back. So we played around, we still couldn't get that driver's side working. The guy was tried a bunch of different things, throwing shovels on it, and his folks would make the speed up and it wouldn't do it. They had a pinch wire, and Bucko had fixed that wire. But somewhere along the line, something wasn't working then. We moved the sensor from one side to the other and it worked. So we knew the wires, and then we nailed it down to the paver side. And come to find out, thank God we had a Pat, who was all Sable foreman, but he's also by trade a mechanic. There's a solenoid in there that runs, tells that to activate and raise that screen or whatever off that laser. What it was, it's a plug-in. The wires were reversed, so somebody had gotten in there because there was a tie strap on it. So we said, well, that would come from the factory with a tie strap. So we think they took it apart, trying to figure out what was wrong with it, and they just plugged it in wrong. We flipped them wires, and that thing worked both sides. Because Fuller was going to buy us a new sensor and a new wire because they said they would take care of anything. So it saved them quite a bit of money. But that's all it was. The guy drove from Syracuse, felt bad after, but we didn't know. So that's all set.
10-cent tie strap.
So next thing is just getting blacktop, because us and All Sable are ready to roll. But their both plants are running floorboard, and of course the airport's not helping.
The airport's going to go right through.
Yeah, and the new plants got their own job, so coming into there.
So what about Reisenberg? Do they
So,
get a little?
we may end up waiting to go a fall again, which when last year it was very comfortable to do. That stuff's almost 300 degrees, so it's not great in July to do it. So, but we started first round of mowing. We got a crew out, weed whacking all the great guardrails. They'll start finish guardrails tomorrow. They'll start in the sign. We changed the culverts on the roads that we're going to pave. Depending on the funding and what we got left for money after the excavator in the 3 roads that I mentioned last meeting, if we got a little bit, then maybe I'll jump over if they're off North Bank and do that. But it won't be anything huge. So right now it's Lions, Nelson, Brian Hall by my house, and then Wayne Road, which comes out on Lions. So that's where we're at. We've been fairly busy. We got culverts things, like I said, we've been doing some ditches. Helping Courtney's guys once in a while. We got Bear Swamp, taking care of the 2 driveways. So of course, got some heat off and stuff. But basically, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mike. Courtney.
You sure you want to hear from me?
I usually have your time limit.
So yeah, we already heard from you.
So yeah, I guess the first one will be bad news. Had an accident with a town truck, hit a deer Saturday morning. Chavez Pump Water Plant. It's not bad. It looks like just a front bumper, so I'm not even claiming it on insurance. I'll just buy a bumper. It'd be cheaper than our.
You did do an accident report.
Yeah, I did have to do an accident report with the state police just in case. We haven't looked under the truck, but the truck's running fine.
You said it reported to one.
Yeah. He left it right up the road from your apple orchard.
One less nibble around my apple.
Been extremely busy. Grass has been growing like crazy the last week. Actually, I'm all out these mills twice to try to keep up with it. So far, Chris is back on now. So
we're out there zooming back and forth.
Thank you for the C-zone play. That'll give me another set of hands because we have been extremely busy. Doing some locating for Reichenberg, and I've been trying to spend most of my days following along with them. The equipment that we purchased last fall for the clarifier just showed up Friday, so we'll be looking at doing that whenever I get that scheduled. Not bad news.
Really?
Thank you.
Not bad at all.
Thank you for the excavator. Put it to good use.
You can take Mike. Thank you guys. Okay, that's it. That's enough for here. Ben.
Oh, I do have one more.
Oh,
Sorry.
sure, yeah.
Valcor, we did get the new vault in for chlorination and dechlorination, but we're still having issues.
Leak?
What's that?
Did the leak?
No, with maintaining an adequate chlorine residual, so we are in the works. AES was good, they helped me with the paperwork, get the grant. Really didn't charge me for it, but I have a feeling now we're probably gonna have to do some kind of contract, because DEC wants drawings and everything of what we put in and all the measurements, and like I said, we are having an issue with keeping a constant chlorine residual, which is causing us issues. It was one of the issues we had before. We think it's because we have high nitrate now, so we might have to do some other modifications that would help with that.
You are busy.
That's it.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Pam?
Concerts are all set up. We will not be having one on July 4th. We just got to decide when we're going to do it.
I've called around, I've got prices for tents, I've got prices from staging, from Chris Akey's, from Taylor, I should say, Party Supply. They only have a tent, they don't have any staging. I have prices for staging and a tent from Foster's. And I also, the only thing that they have in Chattagay, the Amish, they only have a 12 by 12. 12 by 12 is not big enough for a band the size of like Taylor Valleys and them. It's not big enough. What we have right now is 16 by 16 down there. No, 18 by 18. It's, right, you said 16 by 16 you were looking at earlier, right? So what's down there is it's 2 feet longer, bigger than what we have down there now.
That one we have is pretty big.
So where we're at is, I stopped in Buster's today because they put up a really nice, if you looked at Buster's or you're on their website or anything, they have a really nice one they built in 3 days a couple weeks ago. And their band, Taylor Valley, was playing down there last night, and with Tom Longweir and Kevin and all them guys. And it's really nice. It's basically just a staging.
It's portable?
You can move it. You can move it if you wanted to. I mean, it would take.
No, is it on wheels?
No, it's not on wheels. I mean, you'd have to have, you know, a forklift or something if they were to move it. I don't think they're going to want to move it because they don't have to move it.
Yeah.
But theirs is big. Theirs is, the guy told me it's 28 long, which is way longer than what we need, 28 long and 12 deep. But basically, I can show you guys after. I pulled it up early, showed Pam, I think Courtney.
It's more of a pavilion, though.
Yeah.
Not a gazebo.
Yeah, it's a pavilion more or less, but basically, you know, we got the 6 poles and you got a metal roof, that's it, you know, no weight up on top, just enough if it rains, they don't get wet, but we gotta figure out something. We got basically 4 weeks in the making, 4 weeks in the making.
So what are you talking about that for, building it?
We either need to build one, we need to rent a tent, or we need to do something, because obviously we know the gazebo is not gonna be accessible with the.
Did you get a price from them guys on that big one?
Yes, yep, I have it in the email.
And we're talking about that on the front of the Mason building somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, temporary. Yeah, temporary till we figure out where we want to put it permanent. I mean, not so much permanent because these have got to be able to be moved. We can't have someone concreted in the ground down there.
Yeah.
We can have someone that can move.
Something for the summer.
Something for the summer, more or less. Can we leave it down there seasonal? Yes, but it can't be a permanent structure that can't be moved.
I know the fairground is on Glen, I can't remember.
Gun cutter.
No.
Gun cutters, oh, okay.
Gillespie.
That's it, okay.
What do you call in the front?
I would really recommend, yeah, you don't put it in the front. That is the wettest part of that property.
There's a lot of pipe in there.
A lot of drainage pipe.
Glen, Gillespie had a big portable one that they pulled with a wagon, and wheels.
That's cool.
Oh, we need to figure out.
We were thinking about.
So I would, you know, personally, from my 2 cents, when you drive around the building, out in that field, that they mow the big field, you would be safe behind your rain garden. There's no pipe there. There's a lot of pipe around that building.
You're saying drainage pipe?
Yes, it's
Underground.
plastic, and they got tubes with plastic tops on them, so you don't want, you know, that thing's set for the forklift. Those were $900 or $1,000 a piece, those drainage.
Okay. So.
Well, I have to go down there with those guys and get some.
So, what are you guys doing in
Plus, if
10
it does
minutes?
get wet, it's really, it gets
Seriously,
wet.
what are you guys doing in 10 minutes? Can you go back down again tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, you weren't here last time.
The other issue is getting electricity out to the center for bands in the middle of that field.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably gonna have to be something temporary.
Generator.
This year. Well, we have the panel, we
Yeah.
can run something.
Okay, so we can discuss this
That they
when
can
we go
coil
down
on.
after this meeting, but we do have to, like, kind of, I hate to say it, but we are time crunch with wood, with lumber, with some building, or with buying something.
You and I talked about local,
Hey, why
fire stations,
in the old days?
with the old tents, we couldn't find any.
We can get 2 tents, we can rent them. I mean, one's, and I don't even want to throw out the numbers.
Do they
I want to say
provide-
one's like $5,000, $6,000 for a season to
Yeah.
rent it with the staging.
Yeah,
One's $2,400, but they can't provide staging.
okay.
Taylor, more or less, they
Yeah.
don't have staging for this year at all. It's already all gone, rented out, you know, months and months and months ago. Where Foster's had it, but it was double the price.
I met with
Yeah.
what happened to the big tents that were over at the fire station? They just gave them all away?
Years ago. A long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Who's
Yeah,
doing
I don't know if
that?
Foster since I was in.
It's been
No, they had one.
Was that the old field days?
Yeah, it was upstairs.
That was the old field days when they had them, but they haven't had them for,
I know,
God.
I remember one time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, with a bee.
Well, we can
Well,
table that for more discussion down there.
Well, we're tabling that for more discussion, but we definitely, if we all can go down again tonight, because the thing is, you know, our numbers our dates are crunching fast, and we're not gonna have something set up for the bands, and we know the gazebo's out of the question with the construction, and they got all the fencing down there and stuff like that, and we knew that was gonna happen, but not saying that, it's not the right thing to do anyways. Yeah.
At this point, we still haven't heard that we can go in, and we probably won't even be able to anyways because of
Community church.
Oh, yeah, we don't know.
into the, so we're kind of stuck with rain dates too.
Yeah,
Due to
absolutely.
the rain date.
What about over here at the gym?
I don't know.
We could ask, you know,
Yeah, we can ask.
definitely ask, doesn't hurt to ask,
No.
or what, you know.
Maybe we can ask Mr. Don Ryan, he does a lot over there.
We don't have a stage anymore, of course, that's gone. But, so it's all up to Monsignor Dupree.
Okay.
Maybe you can have that discussion tomorrow, just in case. Okay.
What do you do in 2 minutes?
Okay, so we'll go down after for that. Any more other business, anyone? No, did you think of anything? No? Okay, so we're good.
Still can't find it?
You're good? Okay, so moving on.
Moving on, Diane.
Okay, so number 14, discussion, public comments on agenda items only. Anything? Not. We are moving right on to number 15. I need a motion and a second for resolution to pay the bills.
Motion.
Craig made the motion.
I'll second.
Mel second. Resolution, Diane.
A resolution authorizing the post-audit payment of certain claims, bills, and invoices to the town. Whereas the town board has reviewed and audited the following claims, bills, and invoices for services rendered and goods provided to the town in May 2021. From the town approved vouchers in May 2021, 2021-00531 through and including 2021-0602, abstract dated May 20th, 2021, for the dollar amount totaling $158,895.36. Of that, $13,567.67 was wired, credit cards, and prepaid, and $145,327.69 is remaining to be paid. And whereas the town board finds said claims, bills, and invoices to be acceptable in form and reasonable in amount, now therefore be it resolved that payment of the aforementioned claims, bills, and invoices is approved, and the supervisor being hereby is authorized to make such payment, and be further resolved that this resolution shall take effect. Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas is excused, and Mr. Moore?
Yes. Okay. That being said, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that.
Second.
Rick made a motion, second by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.